These are the 5 side hustles that paid me $393 for the month of June. I'll be going through each side hustle, breaking it down, showing you exactly what I did, how you can get started, how much money I made from each, and also grading it on a scale of F to A+, depending on if I think it's actually worth your time or not. There's a lot of stupidity online and quite frankly, a lot of people lying and scamming. So hopefully in this video, I can give you some good ways, some actually good ways, and not earn $5,000 in a second ways to start looking at how to make money online through the internet. Before we go any further, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. It's really free. Like if you go and click it like that, it works, trust me. If you want to learn about money, how to make more money, how to understand it better, how it affects you, or simply how you can use your relationship with money to make your life better. Starting with the side hustle that made me the least amount of money was usertesting.com. I've talked about this before and I'll talk about it again. Usertesting.com is simply a survey site. You log in and you get paid to give your opinions. The sign up process is extremely simple. All you have to do is fill in your name, fill in some of your basic information like where you live, what your interests are and what your hobbies are, what devices you have access to, for example, Android or iOS, and depending on what you fill out, they're going to send you some surveys. These surveys are simply sent by companies looking for feedback on products. For example, if you say that you're really into crypto, or if you're really into fashion or apparel, whatever it is, there's companies out there looking to make products catered to your particular niche. Most of these tests range from $4 all the way up to $90, but the average test gives you $10 and only takes around 15 minutes to complete. Keep in mind, you're not going to qualify for all of these, so you have to spend time applying for surveys that you might not qualify for. But if you do qualify, it's an easy way to earn money simply for saying what you think about the product. As long as you have a microphone and as long as you have a camera, you can do this side hustle too. For me, I only got paid $10 doing this because I only qualified for one survey. I didn't really have the time to fill out many surveys this month. I was busy with work and other stuff. I'll take $10 for maybe an hour's worth of effort. The real money lies in getting qualified for these bigger surveys that pay you $60 or $90 for an hour's worth of work. You're not going to qualify for many of these, but if you do, that's basically 3 or 4 hours of real actual work that you just made online. For me, this month, this was a B- side hustle just because I couldn't get to it much. The second side hustle is Fiverr.com. Fiverr is extremely controversial. There's people out there that want you to believe that you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars in Fiverr, but my experience doing this, and this was technically the first month that I fully tried it, it is extremely saturated, and everybody on Fiverr is extremely price sensitive. What that simply means is that if you're starting out in Fiverr and you don't price your products below the market price for any service, you're not going to get any clients simply because there's dozens, hundreds, and even thousands of options available that do exactly what you do with reviews and certified buyers already. You're not going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars on Fiverr when you start out, but I made a decision to try this out with a skill that I actually think I'm good at: helping people with interviews. I've always been told that I am a good interviewer just because I'm the best person of all time. I've been told that I'm decent at interviews, and a lot of people get nervous when they're interviewing, and that's not because they're bad candidates for a job or a role they're applying to, but that's simply because they get nervous and forget what they have to say because it is a nerve-wracking situation. You're talking to strangers that you've never met before, everybody's judging you, everybody's ranking you. It can get too much. For me, the service I want to sell is helping people prepare for these job interviews by better equipping them with resources and also training them on how to answer certain questions. And you will notice I have prices at $5 an hour or $7 Canadian, which is absolutely nothing. Like, this is a ridiculously low rate compared to the prices that some of these other people are charging. But like I said, on Fiverr, everybody is very price sensitive. I do plan on increasing this price, but for the first couple of months or 3 months, because I don't plan on making a full-time income from this anyways, it's just a fun side gig, I have priced this extremely low just so that I can get that social proof. Social proof in terms of reviews that any buyer can see on Fiverr. And for my gig, I already have 3 or 4 reviews going just in the first month, so I think this strategy is working. Now keep in mind, you have to do something that you're actually good at. And I can do this because I've been helping people prepare for interviews for 5 or 6 years now, and I've been doing it practically for free or very little money. So that's why I know that I can actually sell this. Do not sell something that you have no idea about or are not skilled at. I've seen a lot of people say that you should just start Fiverr and pick a skill, but then just give someone else to do the actual job. For example, if you become an editor, if you actually get an order, get another editor to do it. This is not going to work out in the long run. The coordination itself between two parties is going to be a mess, and clients are pretty quickly going to figure out you have no idea what you're talking about. Those are my learnings from Fiverr for the first month, and I feel like I'm sounding like an expert, but I'm really not. But some things that I've learned that have helped me gain at least some traction in some orders. And I currently have one order as well, so you can trust me as an expert. I would say this is a B minus side hustle as well. And I'm very hesitant there because you can make a lot of money, but at the same time, this is extremely saturated and it is an extremely slow burn. But I guess that's the thing with any side hustle or even any job or business. If you stick with it and you control yourself and control your expectations, you can expect some rewards. I made around $50 doing this last month, and for me, that is an amazing start. I got around 7 orders, which is also really great. Just a big time commitment and need to stay patient. The third side hustle is dividend investment. Juicy dividends just dripping in juice. That sounds very suggestive. But dividends are, in my opinion, the most passive form of income that I have come across. Nothing else compares just waking up and seeing money deposited in your investment account. Dividends are essentially profit payments that are paid by companies to shareholders as an incentive to keep on holding the stock and just as a way of giving a part of the company's value to the shareholder. It is as simple as this. Let's say that a company makes $100 and their costs are $50. They have $50 left. They can choose to either reinvest it back into the business or pay their shareholders. And they might take $10 or $20 and pay those back to the shareholder. When you buy stocks for a particular company, depending on how many stocks you have, you are entitled to these profit payments. And you might think that, wait, what if there's a company that's making a profit, but eventually starts making a loss? How can I avoid the situation and how can I make sure that I actually get confirmed dividend payments from my holdings? Well, this is where ETFs come in. I've preached this before and I'll preach this again a million times. ETFs are the way to go. And not financial advice, of course. I actually know nothing and this is just my personal experience. But ETFs allow you to control that risk as well. When you buy an ETF, you buy a basket of companies. Let's talk about the S&P 500 or the 500 biggest companies in America. This ETF is going to hold all these 500 companies in the exact percentage of their market cap. So if Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia are the biggest companies, they're going to hold a percentage of Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia that reflects that. And not just for those 3 companies, they're going to hold 500 different companies in the exact percentage of the ratio of their market cap. Holding these 500 companies and having these ratios ensures that even if a company goes bankrupt, you're not going to lose your money and the index is simply going to replace that company with another company that's making even more money. In the long run, the S&P 500 has now returned an average of 10% with dividends reinvested. 10% just for buying and holding. So if individual companies are not your jam, look at ETFs. For me, my biggest investments are in ETFs, particularly the S&P 500 and the Canadian TSX. And some other companies that paid me were Pepsi, which I love. The products are used worldwide and they're expanding as well. Microsoft, which is not going anywhere. Word has been around since I was not even born and is going to be around after I die probably. Google, and you're watching this video on Google, so I thought why not buy the stock? And some stable Canadian companies. Since I live in Canada, I want to partake in the Canadian economy, so I got dividends from Manulife Financial, which is an insurance company that's been doing really well, and also Enbridge, which is an oil and gas provider used across many provinces in Canada. I don't think it's going anywhere, and I have a little amount of money in it, very tiny. Some of my dividends were also from covered call ETFs, which are extremely controversial in the investment world, simply because they utilize a strategy called covered calls that boost up the dividends but also sacrifice some growth. I've talked about covered calls extensively in a previous video and I'll link this below. But if you don't have time to watch another video, covered calls essentially sacrifice some future growth to give you income now. They are good for income investors that want income now, but maybe not so good for growth investors like myself that are extremely young and would rather invest in the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ 100 to get long-term gains. There's pros and cons to each style of investing, and I have around less than 10% of my portfolio in this, just so that I can also partake in that income just as a motivating factor to keep me focused on investing. Seeing my income go up every month is a good motivator, I'm not going to lie. I made around $323 from dividends. For me, this is an A+ method of investing, A+. And simply because this is extremely passive. When I invest in ETFs, like I said, and I'm holding for the long run. I'm holding for 10, 15, 20 years from now, and perhaps even more than that, hopefully. All I have to do is log into my brokerage, which there's a lot of free brokerages available in the United States and also in Canada. Just search free brokerage and type your country's name, and you will see a list in your country as well. You just need to deposit money, and you just need to start buying ETFs. That's what I've done, and that is what has worked for me. Just my personal experience, but the market's been doing well for a long time. Well, that is the $393 that I talked about. Why is this video not ending and why are there still some minutes to go? Because I do think it's also important to talk about failures. Yes, I, the perfect human being and perfect guy, also fail sometimes. Shocker. The first thing I failed at this month was trying out this idea of making a viral TikTok or viral Twitter account and selling an e-product on it. An e-product or digital product is essentially just an ebook with information or some sort of knowledge that you're trying to sell. And I failed massively. I got 0 sales. I didn't even get the opportunity to post my link on TikTok just because I didn't have 1,000 followers. And my Twitter has 8 views. And I also technically failed at user interviews, which is another survey site like user testing, except it only has longer surveys from 60 minutes to 90 minutes, but they also pay more at around $100 to $150. I failed at this. I applied to a bunch of these, but I couldn't qualify for any, which does mean that I wasted a couple of hours of my month that I could have spent doing something else, going to the gym, making videos, or anything else. Yeah, that's it. That's the video. Those are the side hustles that made me money. Technically 3 side hustles and not 5, but I also included the 2 that made me $0, just so that I'm being completely transparent and honest and communicating the fact that this is very tough, hard work. Learning how to build up a side hustle from scratch or just trying out things, especially when you're occupied with a business, job, or family, it's tough, but you have to keep going and you have to know what works for you and on your schedule. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. It's free, trust me. Like if you really go and smash it, it's going to happen. It's going to work. Trust me. It's free. And comment a side hustle that you've tried or want me to try as your guinea pig for the next video. I hope you enjoyed this and I'll see you in the next one.